Hello everybody and welcome back, it's me, Shweebe, and welcome back to Café Rouge. We have determined that Aldo is completely innocent and he has the most adorable teacup piggy ever. My god. Anyways, let's continue on with our shift and pray to god Demi doesn't get another stick up his proverbial butt. My shift was over. The bright glow of the street lights didn't reach me. I was in no mood to go home either. Home? What home? My parents didn't even want me. I had no home to go back to. The only thing that waited for me was desperate loneliness, sitting in Pandora's box waiting to be inevitably opened. A sudden pain stabbed my chest. I couldn't understand why Antone's face showed in the back of my mind. His last words haunted my thoughts, and I had an awful feeling that he meant his goodbye. It's cold tonight. I jumped. Demi stepped out into the open, leaving the door ajar. What do you want? To talk. I think it's time you know something. Do we really want to sit down and talk to Demi, considering he's been all kinds of with us since the beginning? My eyes narrowed at him, but he only gave back a smile. He looked pretty sincere. Okay. We walked up the dark stairwell and into Antone's office. Why are we here? You'll see. Demi walked along the further back behind the bookshelves looking for something. Now, it should be around here somewhere. His hand traced along the line of wood. I hadn't noticed before, but there was a pattern barely seen in the decorum. Ah, found it. Demi pressed his two hands against the wall, and suddenly a small square outline appeared along the wooden surface. Behind, there was a small handle. Slipping his finger underneath the tiny helve, he pulled. The portion of wall opened like a door, more like a safety deposit box, actually, and I raised my eyebrows at what I saw. I want a secret bookcase wall thing. I've always thought they were cool. You see them in movies, you see them in games. I've never seen one in real life. I want them. Oh. What? That's... Isis, meet Lizzie. Wow, their likeness is uncanny. I mean, obviously red eyes, she's got much longer hair. But yeah, I see the resemblance. I can see why they are mixing the two up. Who is she? I stared wide-eyed at the girl in the picture. She was the spitting image of me, except with long black hair. Except for one small difference, her eye color. Who is she? Demian looked down and scratched his head. Lizzie was my cousin, a first-generation American like the rest of us immigrants from the 19th century. Wow, that's a lot to process. How old are these guys? My eyes absorbed the details of the picture. Reaching out, my fingers brushed softly against the ornate frame. Come on, let's head to the dining hall. He led me to a chair. The dining room was completely empty and everyone was gone for tonight. Plans had changed apparently, and Demian closed shop early, dismissing everyone from the cafe. What a waste from all that setting up after Aldo's pet incident. Yeah, considering he berated us and was like, get this cleaned up and snappy. Though, concerning what's been going on with Antone and light of us practically getting mugged in the street, maybe this is a bit more important? One can hope. Here's some tea. Doesn't have too much caffeine, but it should keep you awake for a while. Well, that's comforting. I reached out to my cup, lifting it to my lips, taking a sip. It was warm and sweet. There was a small trace of sourness like raspberries. How much do you know about the Old South? Huh? Aren't people down south really racist? It's true. It's very true. I've got a lot of extended family down there. It's true. It's very true, even to this day. He coughed, spitting out his tea in my face. We stared wide-eyed at each other in surprise. When he started laughing, I blinked, wiping off the tea and spit from my face, glaring. Ew. Come on, Demi. I would have thought you would have been a bit more gentlemanly about that. Ow. Thank God it wasn't milk. This was not funny. Although I would say you watch too much liberal media, yeah, it's slightly true. Not slightly, it is very. Just saying. I grew up with Anthony, Lizzie, all three of us, the old gang. I eyed his face carefully. There was a nostalgic smile on his face that soon turned into a grim frown. Demi met my eyes, returning his usual cold tone. I'm warning you now, this story doesn't have a happy ending. So unless you really don't want to hear it, tell me now so I can shut my mouth. He gave me a humorless look, and immediately the gravity of his words sank in. I looked down, contemplating. Then I nodded. Please. Boy. Demian sighed one last time, slumping down into his seat. Now, the day we first met, it was something, really. Priceless. Are we gonna get yeah, alright, so we're gonna get some backstory on these three. Good, because we need it after all this. It was the year 1849. Cotton was blooming all over Georgia. Back then the country was split between the North and South. It was the years before the Civil War of 1865, and the Old South was rich with money. Meanwhile, I was on my way visiting my neighbor and best friend. I was a typical boy of 14, mischievous, tomfoolery, and naive. By the time I arrived, Anthony had already climbed over to the other side of the fence, waiting with a long wheat stick in his mouth. What took you so long? Sorry, had to babysit. Babysit? Aren't you a little young to be babysitting? Besides, you don't have any younger siblings. No, Peeked behind my back, the small figure was walking towards us. Anxiously, I jumped over the fence to Anthony's side. Anthony? What now? I brought along my cousin. He blinked, frozen. Then he got angry. You stupid idiot, why the hell did you bring your cousin along to our secret hideout? I'm sorry, Ma forced me to. My cousin just arrived a few days ago, so Ma wanted me to help teach English. Your cousin can't even speak English? Well, where the hell is he from? Germany or something? No, France. Well, that's not too bad. Maybe he can learn a thing or two from us. How old is he? 12, just about 4 years younger than you, but what now? I paused, stealing a peek at my back. The little figure was only a few feet from us now. My cousin's a girl. Aw, she's adorable! Oh my god. She stepped out from beneath the tree shade. Revealing herself in her doll-like entirety, she wore a bonnet with fancy girlish ribbons, while the rest of her tiny body was cloaked in a frilly dress. Thank God I did not grow up during that time, because I don't like dresses, number one, but they, layered that stuff on you. A bonnet, the ribbons and frills, and just too much. You quite literally looked like you were a dang doll. Yeah. A girl. You brought a girl, Danny? Anthony made a grab for my collar. I choked, barely breathing. Why did you bring a girl? This is our hideout. I really wouldn't have cared if your cousin was 4 years younger than us, or that your cousin couldn't speak a word of damn English, but a girl? Are you just stupid or what? I'm sorry, Anthony. I couldn't have just left her in the streets or something. My ma now would have killed me. Well, I'm gonna kill you now. He raised his arm ready to throw a punch at my face when the girl gasped from behind. It stopped Anthony for a moment, and his attention turned from me to her. What's her name, then? Eliza or something, I'm not sure. He climbed over to her side of the fence, glaring down at her. Anthony reached out his hand quite rudely. Hello, Eliza, or whatever the hell your name is. Really can't speak English, can you? She tilted her head, staring up at him confused. She opened her mouth, trying to speak. Anton? We both stared, a little muddled. Anthony raised a brow at my direction. Is she speaking French or something? I have no idea. He sighed and bent down to her level. Narrowing his eyes, Anthony poked with his finger on her forehead, forcibly pushing her back a step. She stumbled, falling backwards. What a weird brat. But she didn't back down either. Sticking her tongue out, she shot him a glare. However, there was something weird about her. Didn't notice it at first, but she had almost never shown her red eyes, even when she was hungry. Normal vampires' eyes turned a bright red glowing color when they feasted on their prey for blood, but I've never seen her bite another human or vampire. Huh. Thinking back now, we should have seen the sign, but Anthony and I paid no mind to that day. Oh, is this a case of, like... I'm going to assume here, which I hate doing, but I'm going to assume that these vampires, maybe they're not of pure bloodline or something, and in this case, maybe it's that weird avatism. Yeah, like in my family. So redhead clearly is a recessive gene. There's only a couple of us every a few generations here and there. So I'm wondering if maybe Lizzie isn't a human from vampire bloodline due to avatism. That's an interesting sus thought that I just came up with. For a while now, Anthony and I were planning on running away. I know, pretty typical of two boys, right? Over the months, we saved our equipment up, fishing poles and fish bait, a pistol, and 2 ponies. We planned to run away that night. How did they save up 2 ponies unless they were theirs and they paid for it? Because getting a horse is expensive, so I'm curious as to how they think they're going to do this and nobody's going to notice come the next day. Really? And then taking care of a horse. Oh my god, is that expensive. Jeez. Danny, why are you always late? I panted, waving my arms in the distance. I'm here! I'm here! Hurry up then, I already saddled up our horses. You got the fish bait? Yeah, but what, Danny? Then we heard a rustling through the cotton field. Seconds later, her small figure emerged, sweating from head to toe. My cousin bent down, panting, tired from chasing me all over town. Anthony stared in silence, wide-eyed. I'm so sorry, Anthony. I swore I was gonna... He sucker punched me in the face. Oh my god, this guy's quick to anger. Anthony stared wide-eyed. What are we gonna do with her now? Did you plan to take her with us? I'm sorry! Spitballs of fire. If we leave now, she's just gonna go on hollering to everybody we ran off. He sighed, glaring down at me. Then he turned to her. Let's take her with us and dump her at a saloon when we make it out west. She can join the cabaret like one of those can-can dancers. Wow, aren't you nice? Jeez. We left quickly, Anthony tying up my cousin to the horse so she won't run away. We saddled up our ponies and started out our journey west, which wasn't for long. Only a few hours later, my cousin started complaining. Well, I don't know. Will you shut up? Danny, stuff her mouth with something. I don't really have any spare cloth or anything. Suddenly we heard a strange noise. But it turns out it was just her stomach. Jivatha-san. What's she saying now? Unbuttoning my sleeve, I lifted my exposed arm to her, expecting a bite. She just stared, shaking her head. Just drink. Don't you want blood? She continued to shake her head. Anthony sighed, watching us from up front. She can go hunt for some birds or rats in those bushes over there. I undid the ropes to her arms, and she jumped off, scrambling eagerly towards the woods. There was a quick snapping noise of breaking bones, and then a gush of flesh ripped open. Oh! So she'll eat animals? When she came back, she was still carrying the rabbit corpse, wiping the blood off her face. Okay, so is this just... Maybe this is a strange gene of vampirism that can't can't drink from humans or other vampires, and strictly it has to be animals? Didn't they do something like this in Twilight? Granted, that wasn't on purpose. That was just their way of blending back into society kind of thing, and yeah, whatever. Should we tie her up again? Nah, I don't think she's planning on running now. Getting up on my horse, she soon dozed off as we continued through the night. Another few hours passed, and the night became really quiet. The only sound other than hoof steps of our ponies were the sounds of the cricket chirping. It was pretty peaceful, I have to admit. So, according to my map and the plants, it looks like we are now in Missouri. Dang, we were still in Georgia. Should we go look for food? All we have is fish bait and grass to feed the horses. Yeah, if only we could find a stream or something. Aha! Look over there! We'd arrived at a creek. Stopping our ponies, we tied them to a tree while we set off with our fishing poles. My cousin was still fast asleep, lying on the saddle. Our hands clutched our poles for a while, and after an hour we started to give up. Maybe the fish are asleep? Probably. The next thing that happened surprised us both. First we saw the ankles, and then the skirt as she lifted her dress over her knees, hanging her legs over the edge like the two of us. Back in the day, just showing your ankle was scandalous. She's showing that whole kneecap, girl? Yo-ho. I'm just kidding. No, that is actually how they treated them. Anthony's face, as well as mine, was bright red. Back then, ankles were considered forbidden in society. No lady, unless they were trash, would ever show her legs or ankle out in the open public. It was considered wanton. Do you see what I see? I don't know what you're talking about. Although I was a little apprehensive about my best friend staring at my cousin's ankles, we both continued staring until she spoke up. Stupid boys. What did she just... Suddenly the line pulled. Not mine or Anthony's, but hers. Wait, she had a line? She didn't have a fishing pole. They only brought theirs. Oh, wait, did she tie something to her feet? I swear. My cousin joined us with her own makeshift fishing pole. She screamed, tugging back as hard as she could. A split second later, she fell into the creek. Well, there goes that dress. God damn it! He followed, throwing himself into the waters after her. All I could do was watch and wait in frantic panic, yelling Anthony's name. No answer. Then in a distance, I saw a figure drag a body to shore. It was too dark to see clearly. I raced towards them. Somebody translate that for me. Anthony's body was lying on the creek shore, still and not breathing. Oh. Immediately, I started pumping his chest. Come on, come on. At last, his eyes opened. Anthony convulsed upwards, coughing out the water. My cousin cried in relief, and I punched his shoulder roughly. Don't scare us like that again. But Anthony didn't seem to be paying attention. From his trousers, he stuck his hands in, and out pulled a long, flopping bass. We stared dumbfounded. Caught fish. He's going down. He's gonna go down with a fight. All three of us burst into laughter. The rest of that crazy night, we roasted the bass fish we caught over a fire while we spread ourselves over the grassy plain, staring up at the stars. Hey, can you understand us now? A little. Then what's your name? Elizabeth Blanc. Elizabeth sounds like a mouthful. How about we just call you Lizzie? The name was quite catchy, the perfect nickname for her. Looking over to my side, I could see she liked the sound of it too. Okay. The stars twinkled from above, approving as we deemed her new name. We spent the night sleeping under the Missouri stars, and when morning came, the journey was over. The sheriff found us along with our parents. Ooh, they got in a lot of trouble. Young man, you are in big trouble! Oh, this is Mrs. Sawyer. Whoops, whatever. She's got a very gruff accent. My mother grabbed me by the ear, shaking me awake from my slumber. I'm sorry, Anthony was the one who... Oh, don't you try to lay the blame on him. You two are both in big trouble behaving like them white trash children. Oh. And what have you done to poor Elizabeth? She looks like she's bed-raggled. Her dress! Oh, my darling. Naturally, our parents were very furious with us, except for Lizzie. Our little adventure was over, but we gained something very important instead. From that moment on, we knew we were all going to be best friends forever. Childhood passes quickly. We grew up into the ladies and gentlemen we knew we would one day become. And as we were all children of the upper class Southern society, since our parents all owned cotton plantations and big old mansions, Anthony and I had grown into respectable gentlemen from the rascals we once were. Anthony, over here! I waved my arm up high. Anthony was in the distance. Sorry, Daniel. Oh, they got short hair though. So cute. So cute. My God. You could put these two in a dress and they would look amazing, okay? Yeah. Who's the late one now? Come on, let's go find Lizzie. The barbecue's starting at her place in an hour. Oh, this is the mansion that we went to. Where they did the tour thing with Isis. Whoa. The familiar sounds of her harp floated to our ears. Lizzie! Yoo-hoo! Lizzie! Anthony picked up a pebble and threw it straight at her bedroom window. The music stopped. Oh, she's definitely here. Yep. We waited on the front lawn watching the top balcony. The sound of soft footsteps echoed through the open window as she climbed downstairs. Then at last, the doors opened. My, boys, what took y'all so long? Oh, she's gorgeous! She's all pink and frou-frou. Out stepped our Southern belle, smiling as bright as the sun. Good morning, Miss Blanche. Good day, Mr. Red, Mr. Sawyer. Isn't it a fine, fine day today to be having a barbecue? Sure is, ma'am. I interjected, raising my arm out to her. At the time, Lizzie and I were expected by our parents to get engaged, and I fancied her quite a bit. Wait. You were dating your cousin? Demi paused from the story and watched as my face twisted in disgust. Yes, but those were the times back then. This is very true. Your first cousins, second cousins, and third cousins were totally an acceptable thing back then because they really didn't know any better, so whatever. There were lots of marriages between cousins, and even though it seems wrong in modern-day standards, there were a lot of things wrong with your society back then. You had the hots for your cousin? Your first cousin! Are you incestuous? Demi sighed, probably expecting me to go on lecturing him about how slavery and racism were bad too. Which I was gonna do. You pay attention to too much liberal media brainwashing and feel the need to shove your opinions down people's throats because you think all Republicans and conservatives are monsters. Where is this coming from? My God! Do you want to sit here and argue, or do you want to hear the rest of Lizzie's story? Please tell me you guys didn't do it. We don't need to hear this. Just continue with the story. I sighed, rolling my eyes. Now I had even more reason to hate Demi, but I should put aside my emotions and just listen. Fine, just continue. Demi slumped back into his seat again. So anyway, like I said, our parents had staged our relationship. Only now did I realize the double entendre for leaving Lizzie with me all that time during our childhood. Everyone, my mother, her, mommin? What? What is a mommin? Grandma? Her mom? I don't know. We're hoping for us to fall in love, but that wasn't what would happen in the end. Arm in arm, Lizzie and I walked together while she conversed with Anthony. Her attention had always been on him, more than me, and his attention always on her. I didn't notice it at first, but those two were falling for each other in front of my eyes. Papa rarely does these things, you know. It was actually Mommin who wanted the barbecue. That just must be a nickname because I've never heard that term. Mommin? Are your parents coming, Anthony? Oh, yes, of course. I really hope your father can get along with Papa. Maybe they could finally make up their silly feud and finally become good neighbors. Huh, don't count on it. Anthony's father was the richest plantation owner in Georgia. He was extremely Southern. In other words, he was the most racist man who ever lived. It wasn't enough that he hated slaves, he couldn't even stand normal humans who were not vampires. An extreme vampire conservative. Isn't he running for re-election again for Senate? Yes, Daniel, thank you for reminding me. Anthony didn't like his father. You know what he said to me? Anyone who was not a vampire was varmint. He said the next time I talked with a normal human, he would put a bullet in their head because he didn't want me to tarnish the Red family's name. Oh, it's one of those. Okay. Oh, come on now, Anthony. He's your father. Surely he can't be that bad. Oh, he is. All three of us grew silent. For sure we knew Anthony hated his father, and we never knew what to say to comfort him. Lizzie changed the topic. I hope you two boys won't leave me all by myself at the barbecue, like last time. Aw, Lizzie, we're really sorry about the ball. Can we just forgive and forget it? Hardy har har. All you boys ever think about is chatting it up with those other belles while you leave me like a poor little wallflower. I ought to have you know, Mommin's been looking through town for wedding gowns lately, and her mouth slipped. Ooh. Anthony stopped in his tracks, staring at the two of us. The devastation was clear on his face as well as the hurt. Lizzie stopped as well, regretting those last few words. May I congratulate you both? Anthony. He marched off before she could say more. Truth was, I hadn't proposed to Lizzie yet, but we were being so pressured by our parents that the barbecue and ball that night at Blanche Mansion was set up for me to finally propose to her and for her to say yes. Being the aloof idiot I was, I didn't even notice Lizzie and Anthony had gone missing the entire day. The barbecue had passed, and soon the ball began. My aunt, Mrs. Blanche, was the first to notice Lizzie was missing. Lizzie's mother was frantic and asked me to go out looking for her. That was when I found them in the fields. So you're already looking for wedding dresses, right? Anthony, please. Oh, no, no, no. I'm quite happy. My two best friends getting engaged? It's a wonderful thing. He kicked a rock, letting it fly sky high across the field. Lizzie was too afraid to look at him, to mutter another word that could hurt him. She was on the verge of tears. Of course Anthony noticed, and immediately he stopped with the mocking remarks. Holding her face in his hands, he kissed her forehead. You'll make the most beautiful blushing bride of all Georgia, I'm sure of that. Anthony, you're the one who She crumbled. The tears poured out of her eyes like a waterfall. Aww. Anthony cradled her against his chest as she cried. I know I was invading the precious privacy of their moment, but till this day I don't regret it. Never had I seen two people so passionately in love with each other. Young love, pure love, like Anthony and Lizzie. Even though neither of them said I love you, it was too obvious that they cared for each other immensely. I already made my way back to Blanche Mansion. Sitting on the front steps, I waited for her to come. Daddy, sorry, I had errands to do. Her eyes were swollen and red. Lifting myself from the steps, I walked toward her. I have something important to say. Okay. The Southern Belle braced herself, forcing a grim smile on her face. Lizzie must have expected my proposal right then and there, and she was going to accept. Neither of them wanted to hurt me. Their love for me as their best friend was an obstacle for their own happiness, and being the honorable people they were, Anthony and Lizzie were both willing to throw it away for a noble deed. I couldn't let that happen. You're ugly. Whoa, wait a minute. Oh, I get it. He's going to have it to where, he's going to make a complete ass of himself and have it to where she doesn't want to be with him. This is not going to go well. Lizzie paused. Looking up, she stared at me, flabbergasted, more confused than offended. Excuse me? You know as well as I do how ugly you are. You've also gained a lot of weight. I hope you know you're very annoying, you talk too much, and I don't want to marry a nagger. Plus, you'd make a horrible wife. I mean, Mrs. Lizzie Daniel Sawyer. Your name's just gonna taint my family. Nice slap! She slapped her hand across my face. The sting left a red imprint across my cheeks, and I stopped talking. Then Lizzie kissed me on the cheek. Thank you, Daniel. And that was the day they finally became lovers. Yep, she saw right through all that. That's pretty cool. Alright, I have a newfound respect for Demi. It doesn't change the fact that I'm still kind of with him as ISIS, but still. Life couldn't be happier for these two. Oh, every single day they spent together only made them fall madder in love for each other. Even though they didn't agree on a lot of things, their fights never drove them apart. They would always make up because they were both madly in love with each other. Lizzie, are you even listening? Yes? Anthony planted lines of kisses down her shoulder, nape, and she shivered in delight. Here, this is for you. His hand reached out to her, holding out a golden pendant. This is for me? Yes, silly head. Anthony continued to plant kisses down the nape of her neck. Lizzie knew what he wanted, but she teased him more, holding him out. Looking down, she took the golden pendant. It was a thin plate of gold, shaped like a harp. Inscribed in small letters, the initials E.B. were etched in. Aren't these my... Yes, your initials. Absent-mindedly, he placed it around her neck. You always played your harp so beautifully, so I commissioned a goldsmith to make this. How and why does Isis Black have this? One of two answers to that question. Lizzie smiled, looking up at the night sky. Cuddling closer to him as he continued caressing her shoulders, Lizzie whispered into his ear. Do you want to know my dream? Tell me. I want to marry you. Anthony laughed, his chuckle reaching her ears. That's not a dream. That's a reality in a few short months. Oh, does that mean that they got... Yes, but listen, we should elope. We can build a corner cafe. Oh, so the cafe came from her. Okay. You don't have to bother about your father no more, and we can live life same as the middle class. Just normal people, you and I. Just think of it, a bakery and a cafe with red walls and a French canopy. Oh, so that's why he has that. Oh, and maybe it could also be a restaurant with a big kitchen and beautiful dining hall fit for Abraham Lincoln himself. With a grand opera stage so I could play my harp. And you know what we should call it? What, my darling? Café Rouge. Café Rouge? Why, still trying to hold on to the last tendril of French? That makes so much sense! Well, it wouldn't be fair for me to drop my mother tongue completely. One way or another, we all came here from someplace, right? So even if on paper we call ourselves Americans, we should never forget our homeland. It's part of who we are, part of our blood. You're right, but you know what? What? Wherever you are is my home. Anthony was getting hungry and he cupped her head back, his nose trailing the line of her neck. She obliged quickly, letting his fangs sink into her skin. For some odd reason, though, Lizzie never bit him back. It wasn't that she was never thirsty, but when she was, she never dared biting him, no matter how much Anthony wanted her to. She always had an excuse saying he had to leave or that she preferred animals like wild rabbits and squirrels. Anthony was extremely bothered by this. I mean, does it mean she doesn't want me? She doesn't love me? That's ridiculous. Of course she loves you. Then one day, she came running to me. Danny, Anthony, We both raced towards Blanche Mansion. Anthony was on the ground, writhing in inconceivable pain. Bubbles started to form along his mouth and his body twisted like it was experiencing a seizure. What happened? I don't know. In my quick thinking, I pinned his arms and legs down so he'd stop moving. I punched him across the face and he lulled, blacking out. I'm no doctor, but I don't think you'd want to do that to somebody that's having a seizure. Lizzie screamed, wrapping his head in her arms. She crooned worried whispers in his ear while I checked for any signs of injuries. He looks okay now. I'll come back with some ointment and supplies, just in case. When Lizzie thought I was finally out of their line of sight and hearing distance, she turned to Anthony, pleading desperately. Anthony, please don't tell anyone what I did. Please, if anyone found out what happened to you after I bit you, don't tell anybody, you promise? Yes. By the time Anthony got home, his father gave him a good beating. Mr. Red wanted to know what happened to his son when he was supposed to be at a political meeting with his father and brother. Anthony wouldn't tell at first, but after an hour or so of verbal abuse and, well, as physical, he let it out. I was just with Miss Blanche, he said, and she just bit me too hard and her venom turned nasty. Which, of course, would be the biggest mistake of his life. Oh my god. That is so awful. Is it like maybe she's a very special breed and it's like a poison to them? Would it actually kill a vampire if she were to do it enough? Maybe she's like, again, could be that weird form of avatism. It could be a mutated gene or something. I don't know. Tell me your thoughts down in the comment section below. Let me know. And if you love it, leave a like. Let's hear them. Lizzie apparently has some more poisonous vampire powers. Battle cries. Woo! Yeah! I'll see you guys in the next episode.